What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. This week, we're going to be analyzing the Holm versus Vieira card. I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Ozzy. What's up this week, my man?
Busy week this week, late recording, just, bunch of life stuff going on this week. Hot off an awful card last week, straight on to the worst fight. People say it every week, but this week, unequivocally, like undeniably, worst fight card. But I'm going to hopefully have some good analysis, a few good picks in here. But I mean, some of these fights in here, Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby, they're taking Memorial Day early, bro. I don't even think they're gonna be in the building, this weekend. Like they're definitely on vacation, but this is what they give me to work with. So let's see what we could cook up.
I completely agree. I mean, I, I I would take the bet on them not being in the building. Dana probably won't be there. This is a quota main event. We say it on this podcast often: four women's main events a year. It's a quota, and this is the second one. They had Lemos versus Andrade, but we'll try to make it interesting. Talk about some betting lines. I guess there are some still bets to be
Chase
had.
Hooper's fighting. I love me some Chase Hooper. He's fighting, so they're keeping me
Um,
entertained. They're sprinkling it in and around.
Yeah, I mean, it's a low level shit card, but it'll still be fun. But last week, decent card for the Martian. I gotta say, it was a 5 unit win. Kalen Chukagian, just flawless performance. Really loved watching that one unfold. Some terrible bets on Frank Camacho and our girl Andrea Lee had a tough one. But the big dog Petrosky came through. So I had a good card. I enjoyed it. Nascimento, last one, I'll say it was good. We were proven wrong on Tyra. That dude's legit. Had a really fun debut. So last week's card was pretty fun. Um, what about you, Ozzy?
Yeah, not the best for me. I mean, I had my girl Reboss. I was just laughing all week when people were telling me that Chukagian would be too big for her, which was the stupidest like angle of all time. Like, I mean, if people would have just told me, "Hey, Caitlin Chukagian is gonna win a split decision," like, yo, that's it. That's all you gotta say. But people are like, "Yo, she's gonna be like 8 inches tall, like half a foot taller than her." All this fucking nonsense. I mean, you didn't even bet the decision line. Like, you were part of that. Oh, Chukagian's gonna get a knockout, bot crowd, which was ridiculous.
No,
Like
no, no.
Caitlin Chukagian knockout should be like 8%, like plus 1200 every fight card, every
I
fight
made
for
fun
her.
of the knockout price last week, bro.
Okay, you
Also,
should have bet the
I got
decision
some
line, but
major CLV. That's
major.
2-0 on the year betting Chukagian. She fought on the
Yep.
first card of the year, and I love the woman. I really do.
She
So
she gets it done. She gets it done on the scorecards for sure. Andrea Lee, I feel like that was the fight that just broke me just because I mean how she started. Honestly, if she like I said during like those twitters, if she defended one takedown, any takedown at any point, she would have won. But instead, she throws that like crescent kick, in the third round, and a round that she could have won. But I was right on Rakic being an absolute fraud. That posed to be right. His body also is a fraud. It's all aesthetic. But the one that hurt the most is Ian Cutelaba letting me down with like I don't even know what that fight was, bro. Like he just kept taking this dude down and like get pushed off, and that was terrible. So losing week 6.6, down the drain there. But mainly it was like not being bigger on Jan and Nascimento, who I definitely felt good about at plays, and having faith in Camacho, Andrea Lee, and Cutelaba. But I mean, we move on. It is what it is. I just wish that I would have been more bigger on Jan because that was definitely like a really dumb line.
yeah, and both our best bet parlays go down in flames. Both lost pretty terribly. Also a little bit of lag on your end there, audio, Ozzy. I don't think that counts as a
Whoops.
full audio issue though. So I know our boy
Not
Aaron
yet.
Watershaw has been looking for one. Shout out to everyone and all of our friends who are listening. But let's get into these fights. 11
Please.
fight card. First fight, women's strawweight division. You got Elise Reed -151, Sam Hughes +131. Two babes right off the bat. Love both these women. Both one as an underdog earlier this year, getting right back in the mix. I lean towards Elise Reed, and I think the line is pretty appropriate. If there's any value, I would say it's on Reed. Just think she's the cleaner striker. She showed me some decent takedown defense versus Corey McKenna, that complete fraud, minus 350. She closed in that fight. And the hometown judges couldn't even give it to McKenna there. So Elise Reed won that fight like a badass. It's Memorial Day weekend, too. Big narrative going into this fight. Reed is a veteran, and it's Memorial Day weekend right next weekend. So she's got the USA red, white, and blue pumping through her veins. And I think she'll win the fight by decision. I think the goes to distance is still short, minus 325. Ozzy, why shouldn't the goes to distance be minus 900 here?
I mean, I'm not sure, but I definitely would put that in a part. If people want to do some parlays, you want to get that at like minus 310, some 75%, I think is that's like right around fair because I mean, at least Reed probably can't finish Sam Hughes with punches, and Sam Hughes' only shot is a submission. So, that's what I would lean towards.
Yeah, and I'm all done too. So you can just
Perfect.
go ahead right and jump in your pick.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting fight in the sense that I mean, I think these girls are pretty evenly matched overall. I think Elise Reed, she got destroyed by Sarge, but she didn't really back down in any sense in that fight. In that Corey McKenna fight, I thought she looked pretty good. I mean, in the moments that it was on the feet, she showed a really good lead right hand. I mean, Sam Hughes, all she does is like she's terrible on the feet, but she like crowds you. She like blitzes in and just tries to take away space to make you uncomfortable. But at least Reed has a little bit of that karate background too, so she could like move in and out. She's comfortable circling, much more than like Nunez was, and I think her cardio is pretty good actually. I think she won that third round against McKenna, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the scoring of it exactly, but I thought she kept her cardio pretty well. But I don't think that she's that good on bottom and is going to be that will be getting up potentially. So I definitely see the path for Hughes to win. And I actually would lean towards like the best bet on this fight, like just lines available would be actually Hughes by decision. Like the fact that that's like plus 230 and Reed is, even money, I would lean towards Hughes cuz I think like she's going to have some grappling success probably at some point. Like she'll probably get Reed against the fence, like that Reed fight against McKenna was in London, so it was in that bigger cage. So I think Hughes probably does get her backed up at some point. Maybe lands the takedown and tries to hold her down. But she's not that good of a grappler either. But we'll see. I mean, this is not a great fight, but I think at 2-1, over 2-1, Hughes by decision, not a bad look.
Um, yeah, I agree with most of that. So enough said about that one. Um, Next fight, one of your most anticipated
Oh
145,
yeah,
Chase Hooper
oh
taking on
yeah.
Felipe Colares. Colares favorite here, minus 185, Hooper plus 160. So you got any faith in your boy here?
Of course, man. The dream is back. I mean, this guy, how many UFC? This will be his fourth UFC fight, I guess, right? Choked out Daniel Tamer. I was trying to help people for that fight, and they were like steadfast. And I guess they might have mixed up the Tamers, but that dude got choked the fuck out. Pete Barrett, I mean, that was a hilarious fight, but Hooper pulled that shit out. And then this guy goes against like a 20 or maybe like a 30 fight vet and Steve Peterson, maybe like just short of 30 fights. In like his like 11th pro fight. Peterson couldn't even make weight. He never makes weight. So he's like a lightweight, so he's fighting up a weight class basically. But I mean Hooper showed you what Hooper does, man. He's like a slinky ass dude, right? Like he's like his limbs are all over the fucking place. And he kind of tries to utilize his grappling in like some creative ways, right? Like he'll like pull guard and like come up on that like single leg with like the leg trapped and try to take you down there and use his grappling like that. And he just does what he can, but he never quits. He's got good cardio. I think his striking actually, I mean, it didn't look good in that fight, but he threw a few good punches in there. He was throwing a jab cross there, which is an improvement, as funny as that is sounding. And Caloris, man, this guy, I mean, this guy sucks. He's terrible. Like, I mean, even in that Pilar, like you just watch any of his fights, man. Like, real easy to hit him. I mean, I think Hooper could kick this guy in the head pretty easily, probably. And I mean, he fought a lightweight last time. Calares is a bantamweight. And I feel like Hooper's gonna be able to have some grappling success. Like, yeah, Calares is a black belt, but I mean, he'll go into like these scrambly grappling, situations where maybe he'll be adamant on staying on top. But Hooper's a tricky grappler, man. Like I've always been interested in like the stuff that he goes for and like, the techniques that he gravitates towards. And this line's only getting bigger. And I mean, both of them had awful last fights. Like was that I think it was a split decision for Felipe in his last fight or
Somehow,
whatever,
yeah.
right? Somehow. But I mean, he didn't look good in that fight. And like Gutierrez was just like letting him hang around. Like that fight shouldn't have been close. And if Colares can't just like keep it on the feet, like he's not going to do that. So they're going to grapple, and I think Hooper could come out on top in some of these grappling situations. So, I mean, plus 160 for Hooper. I mean, they're trying to set this guy up for a win, man. Like for sure. Like you think Colares is trying to get a one for? I mean, I don't know, but I'm gonna lean towards Hooper for sure. I think I'm gonna bet him real small here, just because I think that he could potentially control this guy. He's got good cardio. He's shown that he's tough as fuck. Like Colares KO. Like Colares is not finishing Hooper. I'm pretty confident in that. So I think I'm just gonna fade Colares and take Hooper and hope for some improvements from Hooper.
Yeah, I agree with one of that last things you said. I don't think that Kolaris is going to be able to finish him. Like you said, Hooper is somehow pretty durable. He can take a beating and keep fighting. So I really don't think Kolaris is getting him out of there. Certainly not by TKO. I think it'll have to be by submission. But did Moicano finish Hooper on that
No, they
cage
no, they
fear?
went to. I think they went to decision, but I
Yeah,
could watch it
I think
again.
so too. It was only like 6 minutes, 8 minutes, but I mean, I think if you can, hang around in a jiu-jitsu match against Moicano, I don't think the Kolaris is gonna be submitting him either. But I do have to doubt some of the improvements that Hooper is gonna make because if I were his coach and trying to improve this guy, I wouldn't say focus on my striking too much. I think his main problem is his wrestling. He has good jiu-jitsu, but he really struggles getting the fight to the floor, and he needs to really develop some like wrestling strength to get these fights to the floor. Because I mean, even Peter Barrett was tough in takedowns for the majority of that fight before eventually getting ankle locked. Um, and, versus Peterson, you saw him just shoot a takedown, but you just saw that Peterson has just grown man strength while Hooper's, still looked like a kid out there in some ways. And then Hooper pulled guard and he didn't do much off the bottom. I mean, that was a really bad fight from Hooper. That was his last fight. So I hope the guys made some improvements over these 11 months. But, going to Wonder Boy's camp, I don't think that's a good move. I think he needs some real fundamental offense on the feet and then he needs to learn how to wrestle a bit better. So the only bet I'm interested in this fight is really the goes the distance minus 135, 136, 145. I mean, I think that's generous, right? I mean, Ozzy, what about you? I'd be interested to hear
Bro,
your thoughts on this because
Hooper's gonna
I mean
fucking
that
smash this guy. What are you talking about? Like he's for.
he no,
I
he's
don't
never smashed
understand.
him.
I don't understand people though, because like if I just told you, hey man, this one kid, he's like 5 inches taller, he's got like 6 inches of reach, he's like 8 years, 7 years younger, however much younger he is. He's got a positive strike differential, whatever.
He looks
The
like
other
Pete
guy doesn't.
Davidson.
The other guy's never finished a guy in the UFC. He doesn't get takedowns. People and the other kid I'm telling you is plus 160. They'd be like hammer, 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 hammer.
No,
So
you
yes,
forgot that he
they
has,
would.
like I said, the body of Pete Davidson. You forgot
Bro,
about that. He's got the
Felipe
Ben Askren
Colares
haircut. I
pulls guard
mean,
himself. Felipe Colares pulls guard himself. He
but
pulls guard.
Kolarsh is a grown man.
The
Kolarsh is a
only
grown
reason
man.
that Sanders fight was even close is because Sanders gassed. Like he was drubbing this dude for like seven
That is
minutes.
true.
He
That
was
is true.
killing him. Like
Kolarsh got fucked up in that
he
round one.
was destroying him. Like it was not even fair. And it was like a
But
short
then
notice fight.
Kolarsh,
Okay.
you gotta admit, it was a bit impressive how he, did come back and
No,
essentially
bro.
finished him with ground and
Not
pound and
really.
and
No,
around
that
2.
was not impressive, dude. Come on. Yo,
Well,
Colares
that is
got outstruck in that fight by 40 strikes, dude. This guy's not a good
that's
fighter,
true.
bro. If there's
But
anybody on the
I
roster
agree,
that Chase
I
Hooper
agree.
could beat, is this guy, and he's an underdog. Like Felipe Colares has to be rated like one of the worst fighters at 135 or 145. So Hooper plus 160 against him. Let's go. Let's get it.
Yeah, I mean, I
Give it
do
to
get
me.
that sentiment behind the Hooper bet
Give it to
because
me.
Kolarz doesn't really seem capable of covering, 65%, but my pick is still
He's
Kolarz.
gonna
Goes the
knock
distance, I'm
this guy
interested in
out,
that pick.
man. Come on. He's never finished. He
No,
doesn't
no
finish
way.
anybody. Doesn't finish
No, that's
anybody.
why I'm betting goes the
Well,
distance.
that's it's good. Yeah, it's good, but
Um
you should put on Hooper on top of that.
Yeah, Hooper decisions plus 450. You should get involved in that. Next fight, bantamweight, I believe. Yep. Interesting fight here. Martinez-Morales. Martinez minus 230. Morales plus 195. So right off the bat, I just think this line is wide, right? This is going to be a striking fight. Neither of these guys really grapple. Morales is really the only guy who grapples. So And I don't really see him taking Martinez down here. So I feel like it's just destined to be a kickboxing fight. Neither guy is like a crazy high tempo. Neither guy is a super high volume. Obviously, Morales has that huge susceptibility to leg kicks, but this is a southpaw he's fighting here in Martinez. He really struggles with the orthodox versus orthodox calf kickers and stuff like that. So I think he'll be fine against Martinez. Martinez is still, a nasty southpaw, but the dude does get dropped times. He's been hurt by Grant. Perez dropped him. He's been hurt a lot of times throughout his career. And Morales has power in his hands. Here's a great comparison, guys. Davy Grant took to the second round to knock out Martinez. Well, or wait, excuse me. Davy Grant dropped Martinez in the second round, right? Morales just knocked out Smolka in the first round, and it took Davy Grant to the third round. So theoretically, we're doing some math here, but Morales has to hit like
That shit don't make no
no,
sense
no, it
because
makes
Davy Grant
perfect
was
sense.
destroying him in the first round.
It makes
That
per
shit don't make no
Wait,
sense.
wait, who? Oh yeah, that's true. He was. Smolka, but still, Morales knocked him out cold in round one, essentially. So I feel like Morales is just a good underdog, right? We like betting on this guy as an underdog. He's come through as a dog in his past two fights, right? And I think he's another good underdog here. Martinez struggled against Alejandro Perez, made that fight way harder or closer than it had to be. So I like Morales here. He's probably the money line bet I feel the best about, and I'll be going on him for a unit, maybe even a little more if this price keeps climbing.
Yeah, I'll take Morales small as well. But I'm more interested in just say going the distance. Like, Martinez, he fights at like a tepid pace. Like, he kind of like waits to get reads on you and then tries to like throw that knee up the middle, like more timing strikes because he doesn't really have one punch power. Um, but he's experiencing like the going the distance and not point fighting but just having more activity to win decisions. And Morales, like I said before his fight against Draco, when he was coming in, man, I don't know what season of Contender he was on, if it was first or second, but I thought he was a pretty good prospect coming in against that Pilarde. He was fucking up Pilarde until he got finished there. And I mean, I still think he's very, very solid. Like, he's very well rounded. He's got wrestling, his jiu-jitsu isn't the worst, decent cardio, good chin, hasn't really been, finished or rocked all that much. Only the leg kicks knocked him out. He's got power, right? And his shot selection is not that bad. So I can see his fight being in the clinch a little bit, like Morales trying to close the distance, get push Martinez back, avoid those kicks maybe a little bit. And the price is climbing. So, I'm not gonna have a big investment on Morales, but I think I'll take some Morales money line decision and just the fight to go the distance or the over, whichever one people prefer. Just because Morales got a chin on him, and I think he's really the guy that would be getting a knockout here, potentially on Martinez. But I think Martinez, after getting clocked, like he's much more defensively responsible. So and he knows that Morales is coming off a knockout win. So I'll go Morales and goes distance in that fight in this
Yeah,
fight.
some props for this fight. Morales decisions at plus 400. And then they also have Morales no scorecards at plus money. Like you were just saying, I think that uh, Martinez isn't going to knock this guy out. He kind of does have that point fighting style. And I think a finish is definitely on Morales' side. I think you'd say the same, Ozzy. So maybe look into those extra props there. But that's a pretty fun fight for this card. Next fight's not bad as well. Lightweight division. Omar Morales taking on Euros Medic. We got Morales at minus 135, Medic plus 115. Ozzy, I think you're interested in this fight, so you can go ahead and start this one off.
Pretty interesting fight here. I mean, I'm pretty interested in the fact that like what's his name Medic trains at Black or what was that team? What's the name of the team? The Cordero
MMA
team. I
Master?
always forget their
No.
name.
Oh, Kings.
No, Black House.
Kings of Honor.
Kings, there it is. Kings. So yeah, so Morales fought Giga, you know, and now I think they might be looking to get Medic on the board and picking out Morales for a fight. I mean, Medic didn't. I mean, he looked kind of bad. I watched that Jalen Turner fight like two more times, but I mean, Turner's a welterweight. Morales is a former featherweight. Medic is gonna have the he's not gonna have the reach advantage, but he's gonna have like the length advantage, I think, with the kicks. And I think this could like just evolve into like a slower fight. So, people really kind of are like leaning towards that under, which I don't really subscribe to all that much. Like Morales, his KOs, like he's got one KO that's not from leg kicks, and then he's actually got a bunch of like submission wins, which is funny. But I mean, I just don't think this guy's very good. I was big on Jonathan Pierce against him, and obviously that went really well for me. I don't think Medic has that much of a grappling game, but I just feel like he could potentially get bully Omar in the clinch a little bit, keep him at range, maybe with some kicks. I mean, I'm not gonna bet this money line on either side. I don't think. But I could see both sides of it. But I mean, honestly, on an information basis, like you can't really bet on Medic. But I just don't think that Omar Morales is like a UFC level guy. Like he's just really tough, but I don't think he's actually gonna be hurting Medic like Turner was. So I think I would lean towards just picking Medic, as an underdog here, but no bet for me overall. I just think that both guys have big flaws, but they can't really expose it on either side. So that's how I feel about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, really accurate read there. I agree with all that. I think Morales is UFC level. I think his win against Benitez was a good win to me. I think that's probably the best moment either guy has had, and I feel like just Morales being able to put together a 15-minute performance and win a couple of UFC fights so far. I think what does he have, three decision wins in the UFC? I just feel like I value that a
Yep.
little bit more in this fight. So Medic, this guy could be a dangerous guy in round one. I mean, he definitely is. Has some nice offensive southpaw striking, but we just don't know a lot about this guy's cardio. We know that his grappling doesn't look good. We don't know what his round winning abilities like. So I think Morales being a slight favorite is right, and I feel like Medic has a lot more to prove. So he's the rightful dog, but not a fight I'm interested in really betting, but also not a bad fight that I'm interested in seeing play out. But talking about great fights, next fight, greatest fight on the card by a long margin. Heavyweight division, we got Jalton Almeida going up in weight, taking on the legend Parker Porter. Everybody's favorite fighter. Almeida, though, is the minus 600 favorite. Parker Porter plus 450 on the underdog side. And I gotta admit, I hate the fight for Parker Porter. The guy's got some momentum. He's beating other heavyweights, and you give him this guy, this fucking like excuse me, Kamzat 205er is what I'm comparing him to because this guy to me looks like a pretty dangerous grappler, and I know he's only had a couple of fights where he's gotten to show that, but I think that it's the same with Kamzat really is where he's showed this incredible grappling and people questioned the opponents that it was against. But I think that the skill this guy showed is replicable against a lot of 205 and even heavyweight guys. So it's really just a matter of his Porker size going to be too much to handle for Almeida, and I don't think it is. And I think that that the chances of Almeida getting a takedown in round one here are just so high. And then obviously Porker's going to be 30 pounds heavier, but that could be a detriment to him if he gets stuck on bottom here. Almeida could just unload with some ground and pound like he did against Marks. The referee could jump in if Porter's in a bad spot in mount for 30 seconds eating ground and pound. I just see it being like a quick TKO for Almeida here. And I hate to pick against my boy Porter. I hate not to have faith in him, but I feel like he's just going to be in for a bad round one here. And maybe he can live bet and come back and win the fight later. But I think he'll probably be TKO'd around one. So Almeida by TKO at 3 to 1. I think that's good odds.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think leaning towards the TKO is good, but I don't really know about this fight. I'm kind of not very sure about it. I mean, I actually think like, this dude Almeida on the feet might be more trouble for Parker because like the speed that he might bring, to him, and like the takedown, yeah, it could be there, but I'm always skeptical like when a guy's like so much bigger, or yeah, when the guy's so much bigger, like how easy it is going to be to actually like take him down. You know what I mean? Um, and yeah, I just think it could potentially be difficult for him to get like easy takedowns. And I don't know how accepting Porter will be. I don't know. I feel like this like how can you be sure about this fight that much? I mean, I'm very sure that I don't want to pay 6 to 1 fade in Parker Porter here just because he's gonna be 30, 40 pounds heavier than this guy. And I mean Almeida looks very strong, but like I don't know what takedowns he like kind of goes for mostly. In saying that, I mean like I don't really want him to have to go for multiple takedowns against Porter, like that could definitely tax you pretty quickly. But I would assume that he looks like to get him. I don't know. That's the thing. Like, is he gonna push him against the fence and like get a single leg or like a leg attack, and then take him down, or is he really gonna look for like a clinch takedown, which I think he got on the Russian, after he got back up. So, I don't really know about the fight. I was kind of like wanting to bet Parker Porter a little bit. Just to find out, like have a 5-1 ticket on a dude that's massive, but I'm just gonna hope that he could survive maybe that first round. Maybe make that fight a little bit tough for him, and then if you could get like some plus money still, even if the fight's like kind of close, maybe get involved a bit. But I'm actually interested in watching this fight happen because I'd be curious to see more light heavyweights fight heavyweights, like just make that shit one big division overall instead of like John Jones having to take fucking 4 years or whatever it takes to go up to heavyweight. Fucking fraud. But yeah, I'm very intrigued by this fight. It should be on the main card. It's kind of ridiculous it's not, but is what it
I like
is.
the John Jones
But
surrender.
I'll go with Almeida by KO. I think that's a good Almeida by KO. I think is
Yeah, I
good.
mean, it's at 3 to 1 when sub is at plus 110. I just feel like Porter, that he's got that, that big neck. He's not gonna want to give up that neck for a choke. I feel like he's much more likely to just eat ground and pound and get stopped that way. And like you said on the feet.
Or like I said, get knocked out
Yeah.
on the feet. Yeah, he could get knocked out on the
But
feet for
Porter
sure.
KO is 11 to 1. I mean, it's heavyweight MMA after all, and pretty much any knockout when it's over 10 to 1.
11-1 is a big number because if he gets trapped under Porter, man, I don't know that Alan Badol got saved. His life got saved by that bell. But I'm interested in this fight though. I want to
Next
see it.
fight, a fight that we're not interested in. Nobody's interested in this fight. Um, Middleweight division, Joseph Holmes taking on Alan Amedovski. Holmes minus 210, Amedovski plus 180. Man, who cares about this fight? We'll keep this one short and sweet. Oz, you want to start this one?
Yeah, horrible fight. I mean, I didn't they're popping up with these guys like Alan Amandowski hasn't fought for like oh no, I guess he fought this
No,
that
almost
I
three
don't know how
years.
long when his last fight was. But didn't he fight? He didn't get to fight who? Oh
No,
no, he was supposed to
got
fight who?
canceled
Yeah,
twice.
yeah, yeah. We got robbed of that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, like where is this guy popping up from? But Holmes, I mean, he just got held against the fence in that last fight. Like he didn't look very like he wanted to win that fight outside of the first round. Like I think he saw he couldn't pick it out of there and kind of folded up the tent and wasn't able to produce much in those later rounds either. I mean, the same thing could potentially happen here because I think he definitely wants the fights on the ground. Like, yeah, on the feet, maybe he's got some tools, but I mean, this guy, I don't think he hits hard. I don't think he's that liable to knock out Amidovski. So I think he needs a takedown. And I mean, this guy doesn't have any wrestling, like leg attack wise. He's gonna have to get the clinch, get double underhooks, drag this guy to the ground. So, good luck to him if that's like how he's gonna approach it and how he needs to win the fight. But I'm not really interested in paying 2 to 1 on it. I mean, if someone is, like, I don't really blame him because Amidovski, obviously, you don't know anything about him overall. But over maybe he's good, but I mean, just avoid this fight. Like the bathroom break fight, like for sure. Before the Ricci fight, and just move on with your day. Like, there's no way that I could give you any real actual opinions on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Holmes is so weird. I mean, he's a big, like, sort of athletic guy, but he doesn't fight like he's athletic, and then, like you said, he goes for, like, these upper body takedowns from the clinch. It's just such a unique thing for a 185er to do, and then I don't think it's a good strategy. It's probably good enough to beat this bum Amidovski. I mean, getting knocked out by John Phillips just probably should put you on the no bet list forever, so I'd say don't get, fooled by the plus money. Even if this plus money, plus 180 wins, it's probably a good thing to pass on this fight long term. Next fight is going to be first fight on the main card. Another middleweight division fight. Eric Anders taking on Junyon Park. Eric Anders is the underdog here, plus 179. Junyon Park minus 209 on the comeback. Uh, Anders getting some action here, and I think rightfully so. I mean, I don't understand why he's this big of an underdog. I mean, he generally makes fights close. Junyon Park, we like the guy. I mean, he's a fun fighter. Um, he's a good boxer. He's got a nice 1-2, decent jab. He can wrestle a little bit, and he has a win over Tafon Chuki, which actually looks to be aging sort of well over Tafon's past two fights. So I mean, Park's not bad, but I just don't really see him covering minus 200 here. I mean, uh, Anders isn't easy to take down. He has some power when he feels like throwing strikes. I mean, that's just the guy's problem. His output is just pretty abysmal. But I don't feel great about having money on Anders in general. But at the plus 180, 190 price tag, I mean, you can't really be too wrong with throwing a small bet on this. So I got a half unit bet on Anders. I forget what price, plus 180 something. So any interest in the dog here as well, Ozzy?
I mean, not that much, just because Anders is just really slow at 185. Like, I think he would have more success at 205, but I think that Thiago Santos fight that was at 205, right?
Yeah.
That shit took his soul away. Like that one was a bad one. He was getting bludgeoned in that fight. But I kind of like this like the goes the distance in this one too, just because Park is kind of cool. Like, he's jabbing outside. He's doing cool stuff, the takedowns that he gets and stuff. And that's like the issue with Anders. I think like Park, he's just more technical of a grappler here. So I think he might be able to take Anders down. And then I'm just like kind of nervous that Anders might get finished. Um, so the over money has been coming in as well. So I have to pivot towards the goes distance and not lay, too much more juice on that. But yeah, at range, I just think that Park is better. Like he's got a good jab. Like I said, Anders is very slow, very very slow and telegraph with like the left hand. But Park does hang out in the pocket sometimes. He kind of like darts in and out. So I could see like a big left hand landed from Anders. But I mean the dog price is not bad. You're definitely having to pay for the certainty that you get from Park. And Anders does have some variance to him, but I just feel that Park's cardio and speed and quickness is going to be able to win him this fight. So I'm only looking at the goes the distance. Park by decision is a small plus money. I might that's not bad. Plus 125, 130. I think that that's pretty fair because I don't really. Anders is pretty durable, and I think that Park's best chance is actually submitting him. So yeah, I'll go with Park though for the win for sure though.
Yeah, park decision. I mean, I'd say that's probably the most likely outcome. Would you say the price on that one was plus one something,
Plus
125?
125, plus 130.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not bad. I mean, I guess that is the most likely outcome here, just on output and activity and everything. But I feel like Anders maybe look a little bit better in the Darren Stewart fights. Like maybe he's getting better. Maybe I don't know. Next fight,
Yeah, but one
electric
of those
fight.
fights is at 205 as well.
That's true. Next fight is an electric matchup here. Women's 115. Tabitha Ricci, Baby Shark is the favorite here, minus 136. Poliana Viana plus 116. Does Poliana have a nickname, Ozzy? What is it's
I don't
something
think
in
so.
Portuguese. Something in Portuguese. Well, let's translate this, and but you can start this one off and give us your thoughts on this one.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting fight, an interesting matchup that they put together here. Ricci, she's only got like 7 fights overall. That second fight in the UFC was kind of not a gimme, but against a girl who showed grappling, definitely grappling faults. Um, and I think here, it's a matchup against a girl in Viana who I mean, she's not a great grappler in terms of like positionally and stuff, but like she'll keep her guard. She's good at retaining guard. I think it's gonna be difficult to submit her. Definitely, like I don't think that path is all the way there for Ricci. And Ricci's not. I'm not saying her black belt's fugazi, but I mean she kind of had a quick ascent like up. The jujitsu ranks. Like I didn't really hear about her all that much. Like she did win like or take like second in worlds and nogi and gi as well. But I mean, when I'm watch her, like I don't really think that her jujitsu is that like high level, where she's like a big submission threat. And on the feet, she's pretty awkward. Like she switches to southpaw, like she doesn't know what she's doing there. She just like watches like boxing and probably and I don't know. She's not a good striker. Doesn't throw good hands. Viana's much more aggressive, throws good kicks, but she's just so accepting of guard, which is not the best base for MMA. But after that, Hebas decision, you would think like maybe if just Viana gets taken down and just hits her with some elbows from on bottom, maybe she could win the fight from on her back, like Caitlin Chukagian did. You land a few punches on the feet, you get held down for two thirds of the fight or something like that, and you win the fight. So it's very very live. And I know some people that are on both sides of this overall. I'm leaning towards Viana though. I think that she could probably keep this on the feet a little bit more than people think. Ricci kind of goes for like upper body takedowns that she looks to grab the clinch, and she landed one single leg on the last girl, but I don't know how reliable she is to consistently go for those leg attacks. And as long as Viana's not like pulling guard, like she does like some framing, like she can stay on her feet a bit. I think that she could actually win this fight pretty easily. And I'm getting plus money on her underdog. This is both of these girls have OnlyFans overall as well, so you can't fade
Good
one over
info.
the other too heavily. Yeah, too heavily. But I'm going with the girl that's just more savage. Like, Viana's been out a year as well. Like, she got to get these bills paid for. Like, I think she's got a daughter as well. Like, I got to go narratives here. So, Viana, she just hits harder. She throws like strikes that have way more intent on them. And Ricci clearly does not like getting hit. So, I'm fading the. She's only got 7 fights in here as well. So even if she gets takedowns, the whole point is even if she gets takedowns, her ideal fight, she could still lose, and Viana can just win in way more ways. So I'll take the plus money on Viana.
Oh yeah, you're spot on here. I mean, this is a fight I'm really interested in, and probably the greatest fight all week, honestly, right up there with Porter and Almeida. But I mean, Reese's. Let's just take a quick look at her record. She fought twice in 2013 and 14, took 6 years off. Then she beat a woman who was 0-0, then 1-5, 2-3, and that last woman she beat Oliveira 12-4. But that I'm telling you, that woman was so bad. The fact that Reese didn't finish her just embarrassing. So the fact that again Rishi is inside the distance is the same as Viana here is just completely wrong. I mean, Viana is so much more likely to finish inside the distance. What is the no scorecards prop here? It's minus 120 for Viana. I mean, that's value too. Um, I love Poliana Viana. How could you not? This woman just keeps pulling off arm bars, and a lot of people these days have been talking about scripted fights. And I'm not stealing anybody's gimmick here. I do see what they're saying though, and this being a possible one of those. I mean, Rishi will take her down. Rishi betters will think, oh, it's going great, ideal scenario, and then all of a sudden she'll be tapping to the quickest armbar you've ever seen thrown up by the Iron Lady. That's her name. By the way, I translated it, I think. Yeah, the Iron Lady. So
Iron Lady, you see, she's durable, bro. She's not getting finished by this fucking chipmunk.
exactly. I mean,
Ricci. It's not happening.
like the no
Yeah.
scorecards prop. I mean, I just really discovered that just now. But like, I mean, I think we got to invest in that. I'm interested in playing Viana money line small inside the distance as well. And I just think that Poliana's. I mean, even if this stays on the feet, that's ideal for Poliana. I think she's the more optimal striker. She's got some decent kicks, decent Muay Thai offense in general. And have we ever seen Reese look good on the feet? I don't really think so. And then even if Rishi gets her ideal fight, like Ozzy was saying, I mean, she's in constant danger of triangles, arm bars, all types of submissions that Poliana can throw up. And I think that Poliana is going to submit her. So Poliana sub, Poliana inside the distance, no scorecards, money line, will take it all. It would suck if we're wrong on this one. Next week it would be pretty foolish to listen back to all this, but I'm pretty sure this is a scripted fight, and I'm pretty sure the script says that Viana uh, armbars her. So, shout out to the man out there. And we're moving out on to the next fight. Middleweight division. We got Chidi Njokuani taking on Dusko Todorovic. Chidi minus 250, Dusko plus 210. Chidi versus Dusko. This is an interesting fight, name wise.
It
So we got
really is.
yeah, so give us your thoughts on this. I mean, right
Sure.
away, I'm only looking at the dog. I'll be interested in seeing if you're on the same wavelength.
Man, Chidi's a weird fighter, man, because like he has like a lot of potential. Like you watch this guy and you're like, man, this guy, he's strong. You know, he's got good range striking, and he's got the Muay Thai background as well. And then he stayed off a bottom against that whatever the Mario Souza, right? That contender series fight. But I mean, he's got some sketchy losses in his past, and he makes some bad decisions in there. But Dusko, man, I don't know, man. This dude Dusko, the only reason he got on top of Maki was because Maki pulled guillotine. Like, my issue with Dusko is like his is Dusko, right? His name's Dusko. You know, it-
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not. I just don't think he's gonna get takedowns on Chitty is the issue. And if he's not getting takedowns on Chitty, I think Chitty's gonna carve this motherfucker up on the feet because he's leaning around like Chitty just has like way better pace. And if Chitty fought the same Dusko that Gregory did, I mean, this dude Dusko will still be asleep because he's like leaning away from punches, and it's so easy to get this guy's patterns that I think a striker the level of Chitty is going to be able to find the button, hit him with body strikes, start bending him over, pause, but maybe start landing some clinch knees because Dusko's going to be looking to clinch here, 100%. He doesn't really have that great of a wrestling game, but if he does put Chitty on his back, I do see the angle there that people like Dusko. And I can't, knock a plus 200, plus 210 price tag. But I'm not going to be on it this week. I think that Chitty's going to be able to start carving this guy up, like I said, and when he does get him in the clinch, like, I think he's gonna be too strong in the clinch, gonna be hitting him with strikes, and Dusko he'll fold like he'll stop, not he'll fold up, but he'll stop trying. I think to get these takedowns. Like his gas tank, I don't think is that good. But his chin is decent, but I don't think his gas tank is one that will allow him to keep pushing and pursuing takedowns on a guy like Chitty who's gonna make him pay. So I'll pick Chitty for the win here.
Yeah, I see a lot of what you're saying. I mean, on the feet at distance, I mean, Chidi probably will. That's a good way to put it, carve him up. Dusko is just so hittable, and his just head movement and reactions just don't seem to be there. But I mean, this guy's chin is also really variable, right? Like he got rocked by Puna a lot. People thought Dusko or not Dusko, our boy RoboCop would have a chance to put him out, but his chin actually looked really good there. He had a ton of shit from RoboCop in that fight, and I don't think he was ever like really rocked. So. This dude's chin is, who the hell knows what's going on with it. But Dusko is not a traditionally good wrestler. I do agree with that. I don't think he's going to get easy takedowns here. But the thing with Cheaty is, I just feel like this guy could be just like a front runner. I mean, I think that's pretty fine to make that assumption at this point. But I mean, he did have that one win in round three on the Contender Series, probably his best win of his career. But I just feel like past 5 7 minutes, this guy's gonna go downhill a lot, and a lot of steam is gonna come off his shots. And then if he's on bottom, I don't see him getting up. He's that kickboxer type of guy. So Disco could do bad things in round 2 and 3, but I feel like it's a live bet spot. Cheaty might come out and just knock him out like he did my boy
Yeah.
MAB. A real sad loss there. Ozzy tried to talk me down off this. Like this fucking guy was trying to talk to me all week, saying I don't think that MAB is the right path. And then of course he eats a punch to the back of the ear. I mean, pretty suspicious if you ask me. I think he knew the script for that fight. But anyway, yeah, wait till live bet just go.
What's the over here? I'm only
What's
seeing the juiced over line, but what's like the normal over line on that one?
I don't see it on Bet Online. It's
So,
missing somehow.
well, I think you could get like minus 150 maybe on the over. I think that's not bad. I mean, Dusko, I mean, he'll
It
take
should be minus
shots.
1.5 or 1.5, right?
No, that's yeah, 1.5 minus 150. I mean, I like that Chitty by decision line though, potentially plus 380. That's pretty good. That's a good payoff, especially given the over one
Yeah,
and a half is like slightly favored. So, if it goes a little bit later, and like you said, Chitty maybe just starts to shy away from some stuff. We get a 29-28 in his favor. You get a big payout there, but I think Chitty's gonna fuck this dude up.
yeah. I mean, goes the distance though, plus 188. I mean, it could look stupid if Chidi just smokes him, but I mean, I'm not impressed by Dushko's finishing ability, and I think past like a
They're gonna be in
round,
the
Chidi
clinch,
probably won't
dude.
finish
They're
him
gonna
either.
be they're gonna be hugging here. So I think anytime dudes are hugging, like the goes the distance and overs are very live.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of outcomes are on the table here, though. But that Chidi decision line is good. You mentioned plus 380 on that. Um, Next fight, in all seriousness, probably is the highest skill level fight on the card. We're looking forward to a few other ones, but skill level wise, this is probably the best co-main event, welterweight division. Santiago Ponzinibbio, Michel Pereira, a couple of fine South American strikers going to be going at it. Minus 142 for Pereira, plus 122 for Pons. We're big fans of Pons on this podcast for sure. The guy, at one point was a really high level fighter. Does seem to be, looking on his way out, but I mean, he's still showing that really great foundation of skills that he has, even if he is late into his career and maybe past his prime at this point. Um, but I don't think he's really getting to the point where you need to completely write him off betting. It's not like a guy who is having bad losses. I mean, he went to a close decision with Jeff Neal, and I mean, he had that great fight versus Baeza, got caught versus Jing Liang. So I really don't feel like he's taken bad losses to the point where you're like, oh, I can't trust this guy anymore, you know. And you're getting plus money on him. And then Pereira, I just feel like he wins fights. He's good at winning fights, good at banking rounds, but I just feel like he never really impresses me. I feel like he always manages to make fights close. You know, the Filial fight, he lost round one. The Price fight, he lost round three. The Chaos fight, it was a close decision. People thought it was 50-50 going into that decision. So I feel like his fights are always close, even if he is winning by unanimous decision. So um, uh, Pereira is a good fighter. I've been wrong about doubting the guy in the past, but I feel like if you're looking on a money line side, you got to be leaning towards Ponzinibbio here. I feel like it's going to be a striking fight. Ponzinibbio is not going to be easy to take down when Michelle likes to mix in those takedowns. So I feel like we're just going to be striker versus striker, and I think Pereira will have the speed, the athletic advantage, no doubt. But I still think that Ponzinibbio is the craftier striker, and he could really, do some damage to the leg kicks, his jab. I just think he's, the better, technician. And if he's not too far down the hill, Ponzinibbio's got a really good chance here as a dog. So fun fight, good matchmaking. Interested to see your thoughts here, Ozzy.
Yeah, I love this fight. I think this is a great match fight. I mean, between two guys that have been. I mean, obviously Pereira's gone on a decent run here after those two dumbass back to back fights. I mean, has someone had two more dumb fights than Connolly to the Diego fight? Like those are just incredible that they went back to back there. But the reason I go into this is all of these fights that Pereira's done, except for that Danny Roberts fight, have gone into the third round, right? Like this guy has been a little bit content. He's fought some guys that are durable for sure, right? Chaos, Nico Price, Fialo, all of those guys durable. But he's been a little bit more, not point fighter, but his fights have been more dragged out. He's gone to 18 decisions in his 40 fights. Almost half of his fights have gone to decision, right? And that Diego fight would have went to decision if he didn't fucking knee him in the head and that Ziem fight as well, right? So almost half this guy's fights basically have gone to the decision. And he always does dumb shit though. In those fights, like you said, he drops rounds. He doesn't. He has good gas tank, but in that last fight against Fiallo, you saw Fiallo was pressuring him, was trying to pierce him with that jab, but his footwork was just so slow, and he just like wasn't changing up his attack after that great first round. And Pereira was able to get that fight, easily there at the end. But when I look at Ponzinibbio, yeah, people say that yeah he might be a little bit shot and all that, but I mean the guy is still landed strikes. Like he still landed a ton on Baeza. He still landed a ton on Jeff Neal as well. Jeff Neal, the issue there was I feel like Ponzinibbio couldn't get out of the way of many strikes. But Jeff Neal, I've always thought is just different from that left hand side. He offers a pretty interesting attack from there. And that fight could have gone either way. Like I was definitely nervous about that. I was on Ponzinibbio, or excuse me, I was on Jeff Neal there, and he definitely won it in like the last, I don't know, maybe like minute or so there. But it was definitely a close fight, and it showed me that Ponzinibbio, he's not all the way gone yet. He can still compete with top 20, top 15, welterweights. And I just feel he's much more consistent. So, early on in the week, I definitely did feel like, that Baeza side minus 110 was the side. But it might be because I'm from New York, but I'm kind of getting interested in the Ponzi scheme. At this point in the week, I'm feeling it, man, because I think he can attack with the legs, right? He can offer like that just layered approach that Fialo. Let me pull up the stats real quick here. I'm a stat guy, but I wanted to see like if I remember
Zero
correctly, like
kicks, wasn't it?
Fialo didn't.
Zero kicks.
Yeah, he didn't throw any kicks, bro. Zero kicks. Like, how can you do that? Yeah, zero, literally zero kicks and seven body strikes, bro. And you compare that to Pereira. Pereira threw 80 combined leg and body strikes. Like a guy's carving you up, and you're gonna throw like that. It just doesn't make any sense. But Ponzinibbio, he's got good kicks. He does throw the body, and he's got a great jab, great lead hand. So I feel like this is gonna be a close fight. I like the dog money now. It's getting a little bit bigger. Ponzinibbio by decision, plus 240, plus 250. But I do think this fight is gonna go the distance, man. Like I don't think that Pereira is really gonna get Ponzinibbio out of there. But I just have to have the Ponzinibbio side though, just in case Pereira does something stupid and runs into like a hook or a big right cross or even a head kick. Because Ponzinibbio got head kicks. This is the thing. Ponzinibbio has so much to offer that he hasn't shown all that much. And like people only remember that he lost to Jeff Neal, and people don't only remember that first round against Baeza. But this guy's down to go to war. He's not, giving up. If even if Pereira has a great first round or what a second round, doesn't matter. The sequencing, Ponzinibbio is not going away if he's still in that fight, and he could definitely, I would definitely favor him in the third round here, for sure. So I like this underdog plus 120 is my buy point, and I think that he's a solid dog here. Unless Pereira comes out super strong, lands some good strikes, or puts some more intent on the strikes, I think Ponzinibbio here is gonna potentially pull out this underdog win. So, I think I'm gonna play him, but I'm gonna be so mad at myself if I lean towards that minus 110 early in the week and got a lot of CLV and end up flipping and going to the other side. But I think Ponzinibbio is the right side here at plus 120 and greater.
Yeah, I had one point I was gonna follow up on. Oh yeah, Santiago Ponzinibbio got his leg destroyed in round one versus Baeza, and still fall through that shit. So Pereira likes the leg kick. I feel like Ponzinibbio is more equipped
His
to
leg kicks
deal
are
with
weak
those leg
though.
kicks. Yeah,
They're kind of
and he
weak
also
leg
gets leg kick. He gets
kicks.
leg kick the zone. I think didn't Chaos Williams land a lot of leg kicks on him?
Yeah, he needed
Uh,
takedowns to beat Chaos Williams too, guys. Remember that. Like he
yeah,
didn't outstrike Chaos Williams by a lot, and you saw those wide ass shots that Chaos throws and stuff. So Ponzinibbio is just way more calculated. So this is a step up for Pereira. So
I do
I'm gonna
feel
have
like
make him prove
I
it to
do
me.
feel like the market is giving Pons a bit of respect because Pereira is on a 4 fight win streak. Pons lost 2 out of his last 3, and the line's still close. So I feel like people are respecting the skill of Pons. But good fight. Good co-main event. Probably would have been better as a 5 round main event. But the women's quota that gets us to the main event. Holly Holm minus 250, Vieira plus 210. Ozzy, you can start this one off.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I mean, Holly Holm back after I guess almost 2 years off. She destroyed Arena Aldana, and I was so glad. Like I was on Holly Holm there, but I was just kicking myself the whole time. Like man, like Arena Aldana is like a one-dimensional glove sniffing kickboxer. She's literally the 135 version of my of
Jennifer Maya.
Jennifer Maya, yeah, but just without jujitsu either, you know. So like she just lifts the gloves. She'll like bob her head side to side, and she'll throw a few good punches. But maybe some MMA math in here, just because Aldana knocked out Vieira, but got dominated by Holm. But I mean, like Holm was like tackling her, taking her down, like had her up against the fence, like something like she just destroyed her. Like it was like not like it wasn't even like a like those girls are like in two different classes and will always be like that's like the foil to Arena Aldana, a kickboxer like that. But what's her name? Ketlen, she hasn't fought a kickboxer. Like a girl that can head kick, throw a lot of kicks, out there. But I just hate Holly Holm, honestly. Like I hate her as a fighter. Like she's just so annoying. Like she does the Caitlin Chukagian hee ha hoo shit as well. Like I hate
Wins
that
fight.
shit. But she's solid. Yeah, yeah. She wins fights for sure, and she has like a clinch game as well. So I think that might be difficult for Ketlen Vieira. The only thing that is like favorable that I like about Ketlen is that she has like that experience now of going 5 rounds from her last fight, right? I love when fighters come off of that, have like maybe cardio issues and like experience that 5 round fight and then come off and fight another one because like that's invaluable. Like you can't really simulate that all that much. Um, but I think this is a live spot. Like I gotta see how Ketlen is dealing with like the angles. Like she hasn't really ever fought a southpaw either, so I need to see how she's dealing with that before I get involved with her at all. But I do kind of like her a little bit here, just because if she takes Holly Holm down, like Holly Holm is not getting up. Like I'm gonna guarantee that right now, and I think she could be in big trouble because when she does try to get up, she like puts herself in kind of bad positions and stuff like that, and Ketlen's pretty strong on top, and she could progress position as well. And I think she's been advancing in the ground aspect of like utilizing her jujitsu against these girls that don't train traditional jujitsu, if that makes sense. Like the MMA jujitsu area of this is like much different than just being like a good grappler overall. So I'm gonna wait live to get in on this just because I think it could be close early on, and I could have like a very easy tell to me that hey, it's worth investing in this at the live number like Jan last week, even though I didn't get enough down on him just after those 2 rounds and it being such a big number. You don't know how the fight was progressing. I knew that Jan was a decent side, and I think that could be the case this week, but I definitely would say Holly Holmes aside to probably lean towards now, but I can't pay that juice on her for sure. She's just not good enough on the ground, and she's willing to clinch as well. So like she could snip on a banana peel, get on bottom, and start getting smashed.
Yeah, I have a pretty bad history of betting main events and women's 135. So I don't have enough confidence to really bet in this one. I kind of see the line as being, I guess, accurate. I mean, I think that the striking is going to be pretty hard for, Vieira to get close. I mean, Holmes' speed advantage, her footwork advantage, just going to be hard for Vieira. Vieira is kind of like a plodding boxer. She has some decent offense on the feet, but I just feel the speed and the ability of Holmes' footwork is going to be too much for Vieira to really track down. Maybe if Vieira gets real aggressive and go and really commits to that takedown, she can get this fight to the floor and make it interesting. But I mean, outside of really, committing to those takedowns, emptying her gas tank possibly to go for those takedowns, I feel like the striking is just gonna be really one sided here. Holm doing her usual thing. In the clinch situations, I think Holm can probably handle herself as well. And I do agree with Ozzy. Obviously, if Holm gets on bottom, it's going to be trouble. Vieira, that's going to be the round for sure. And Vieira, that means all she needs is three takedowns. Three takedowns. That's 4 or 5 minutes of top time. That's the fight. While Holm needs to really be perfect for 15, 20 minutes, not get taken down here. So I guess it is easier for Vieira to win. She needs less to go right for her, with just three takedowns possibly. So I see that angle, the plus 210. I'm not interested in betting this one. It's a terrible fight, terrible main event. Holly Holmes, 40 years old, hasn't fought in 1.5 years. So who really knows what her condition is at this point? She has been a great
Yeah,
athlete
she
historically.
gotta
I
she gotta
doubt
cut
she.
that weight too. 40 years old, cutting down
Yeah,
to 135. Like, there's no way she's anywhere close to like that woman is nowhere close to 135. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a tough cut
she's
for her.
big. Vieira's big.
She's
Vieira's big
big
too,
as
but she's
fuck.
obviously,
Yeah,
but obviously 10 years
active
younger. Um,
and active.
but
Yeah,
yeah, true. She's made the weight. Yeah, she's only 32. I mean, and does she train at Nova União? Does she or is Petinaris in her corner?
I don't. I mean, she was the Novo Nya, but I don't know like if she's training there still. Like, probably, but I think like Pedinaris is saying like he's about to retire or some shit like that. So I don't know what's going on with that camp.
And great point. Also for your Vieira side, great narrative here. Vieira beat Misha Tate. Who didn't beat Misha Tate, and that's Holly Holm, who got choked out. So very, very great argument for Vieira there. That's enough of this card, though. We're coming in at just under an hour, so we'll wrap this up with our best bet parlay of the week. Last week, tragic, tragic shit happened. Both went down in flames. So hopefully we
Awful.
have some better luck here. I haven't really given much thought to this, so I'll throw you on the spot. What is your best bet parlay of the week?
Yeah, man. I'm like, I don't have that much confidence in any of this stuff this week, but I'm going with Pollyanna Viana. Fuck it. Plus one. Give me the plus 115. Don't give me that plus 112 at FanDuel. Give me at least a plus 115 at DraftKings. I'll take that. Not that confident, but it was between her, my boy Hooper, or like maybe like goes the distance in that park fight. But I'll just go with Viana. But I mean, not any that I'm very confident in overall.
Yeah, I don't really have many confident as well, so I think I'm gonna go with an underdog here, and I think I'll go with a prop as well, and it'll be the Almeida knockout prop at a decent odds, 3-1 here. I just feel that
Wow.
I feel the
Wow.
value.
Full best bet fade on Parker Porter. Brutal.
I mean, it's gotta be
Brutal.
done. I feel like I mean, you said it, you liked it earlier as
No,
well.
it's not bad.
And when I'm not feeling confident about anything, I'm not gonna, force a minus 210 Ian Cutelaba bet or something like that. Nah, I'm just fucking with Ozzy. I mean, mine was Frank Camacho. Frank Camacho got knocked stiff, and then Ozzy was like, "Yo, that was Martian's best bet of the week." I was like, "Damn, that's a good point." Um, but Viana money line and Almeida knockout on FanDuel is plus 748. So, big risky action here, both plus money. And that's what you got to do on weeks like this. Not a whole lot of intriguing shit. So, take some stabs, and that'll do it, Ozzy. I think is there no UFC next week? No, I think there is next.
There's not
There is next
Memorial
week.
Day, they always take it off.
Oh, okay, okay. No UFC next week. Then we get back on like June 4th or something like that. So we'll catch you all in 2 weeks. Thank you all for listening. Any closing thoughts, Ozzy?
No,
Go
man.
Heat.
No closing thoughts on this fight card.
Um, All right, so that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you all enjoy the fight. See you guys in 2 weeks. Peace out, everyone.